And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, yeah, well, I have a real problem with them.
He talks about how, gaming can potentially not really get you anywhere, right? You're putting a lot of time into it and you're just mindlessly playing video games. I just don't think what Joe doesn't really understand in the full context of what the gaming community is and how many different avenues you can be successful in gaming.
Hi guys, and welcome to Gadget Reviews. So today we have something very interesting. It's Joe Rogan talking about video games and then Ninja responding to that and basically my take on it. So there's a lot of things that could be said about this. I do think that they're both right in a particular way, but there needs to be more context and there needs to be differentiation between what Joe meant and how Ninja took it and all of those things. So let us dissect and see what we come up with. So let's see the first clip from Joe Rogan.
I think that there's a lot of people that don't have any, there's no one, they're not modeling their life after someone that they see that they admire, someone that's successful, someone that is doing something that they enjoy and love. Sometimes kids have to see that. Right. And if their parents are living a bullish life and their neighbors live in a bullish life and most of their family lives a bullish life, they just lay around, you know, and then they seek refuge in drugs or video games or something that stimulates them. And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, yeah, well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere. Right. It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jujitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jujitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jujitsu school, and your jujitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like that's the future. This way. You're doing something exciting and fun, and you don't. Or you could just be playing video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
You have children. I have children, and it's a big battle in the house. Yes. And my kids, I don't know if you're going through this, but my kids are now saying, well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. That's
real too. That's
right?
real too now.
So like that's 1 in a billion, kid. Like,
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, do you know how few people make it as a comedian? I was like, okay, does anybody make it? Somebody makes it, right? They figure out how to do it. They make a living. I'm going to do that. Yeah. Just stop. I know what I'm doing.
There's a lot to unpack here. So first, he's saying like, well, video games are just such a waste of time because you can make a living out of them and you're just wasting your time. And in the times that you're playing video games, you could study martial art, or he just gave an example. You can do whatever you want just to better yourself. You can work out, you can learn different disciplines, you can study something. I mean, so many more productive things that you can do instead of playing video games. Now that by its own is absolutely true, but like everything in life, things have to be done in moderation. So video games have to be perceived as movies. They are entertainment, they are art. A lot of people are behind them. Yes, they're business, they're made for money, but they're also doing something else. They're furthering the technology in the future of how CGI also is created. Video games give jobs to a lot of people that are working on them. Gaming studios are developing talented people that are growing up. They're able to strive towards being a gaming developer. The storytellers that only can tell their stories through video games, like Hideo Kojima is doing, how Naughty Dog is doing with The Last of Us, Uncharted, Assassin's Creed. There's so many stories now, Tomb Raider. There's so many good stories in video games that could only be told and experienced in the way that only a video game could give you. That is from the art perspective. There's a lot of young people, yeah, that want to have a career in that kind of a way through video games. There's a lot of people like me that play video games and stream video games and want to turn that into a way of living as well as a stream of revenue. So I'm sharing my experience with you guys and my love for the video games, like now I'm doing with Ghost of Tsushima, how I did with The Last of Us, and I just want to share that with you. And it's such a amazing moment where I'm playing a video game, you're with me, you're watching me, we're experiencing this together. And if someone wants to donate because they're having a great time, they can do that. So in that kind of a way, I am using one of my passions, one of my greatest loves in this life to contribute to my life in some kind of a way. So it's not just me sitting down and playing video games just for the sake of losing my time. I do want to develop that some kind of a career as well, and I'm about to be a host of a gaming show, and that is something that will never happen if I never streamed or played video games. There's so many things that led to this moment in my personal life, and there's so many more things that will come out of this. So to me, video games are not waste of time in that regard. So Joe Rogan, I don't think that he or his companion there, his guests, are aware of the potential that the video games could have and the fact that they are a very legitimate career, whether or not you are behind the desk and doing the video game yourself, you're a game developer, game designer, storyteller, programmer, whatever you are, you can have or streamer, you can have a career there. And how Joe himself gave this example, it's very hard to become a comedian, but it's not impossible if you have your heart set on it, your willpower set on it, and you can put your mind to it, you can succeed. It could take a lot of time. Now, I watched the story of this actor that currently died. I love him since I watched Halt in Cleveland, Regis Philbin, who was one of the sweetest guys I've ever seen on screen. So he was just a sweetheart, basically, in Halt in Cleveland, and I really grew to love him when I watched that show. The point that I'm making with his life is that he struggled for a lot of times. He had minor hosting gigs here and there, and finally his big break came when he was much older and he got a spot on the Today Show and all of that. So years later, he's now a legend and God rest his soul. But the point is that he fought tooth and nail for what he wanted to achieve in this life, and he eventually did it. I mean, yeah, it took his whole young life, and that is not what's gonna happen with a lot of people. A lot of people, if they're not persistent enough, if they don't know how to adapt, that is also applying to me. I have to know a lot of things. I have to see what I can do, to make my dreams come true. But if you're persistent with your passion, if you're really truly genuine about it and you believe in that and you believe in yourself, you can really make it. Now, that's from this aspect. So moving aside the fact that you can be successful through video games in life as a career, that's 100% a fact. Is it easy? Hell no, it's not easy, and it's not easy at all. The other thing that I was thinking last week when I was watching some videos about internet thoughts and just all of those girls that have this just chatting video format on Twitch, and they're literally just sitting there for like 4 hours of a stream sometimes and just talking to the chat. And there's so many people that just give their money for absolutely nothing. They do not provide any value whatsoever. They do not speak of anything that you can learn or progress from, anything that provokes critical thinking, anything that provokes any kind of intelligence and just to move your brain in some kind of a way. None of that. They do not provide anything in value in terms of what they're talking about. They're literally just move their legs back and forth on the chair and drink coffee, let's say, and eat on stream, and that is their entire content, for which a lot of guys that are called Sims just go and just give them money for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So that type of a content, if I do something, if I'm just appearing in my bra on Twitch, age restricted, and just sit on the chair, lean back, bring my legs up on the desk or something, maybe I'm going to be much more successful than I am now, but that's just not myself. That's just not me. That to me, that's disrespectful to myself. So the only way that those girls are making money is through how they look, but they do not provide any value in terms of, well, nothing. So I don't want to be like that. So my way to succeed is much more harder. It's such a grind that a lot of people would have quit if they were me till now. But I'm just saying there's this aspect that even those girls, it's not super easy for them to succeed, but it's easier than what I'm doing. But even if it's hard or harder, doesn't mean that you can't succeed at all. That's to that point. To the other point, video games are addictive for some people. I see my own nephew that plays Fortnite like crazy on his PlayStation 4. That's a problem. He doesn't really want to go out of, out of the apartment sometimes. But here's the thing, guys, there's something called moderation, and that is something that you have to apply to absolutely everything in life. You have to know where to stop eating, you have to know where to stop drinking alcohol. A good example is, let's say, if you're drinking red wine for the benefits of resveratrol. Resveratrol is an antioxidant that is extracted from the grapes from which the wine is made of, and it's extremely healthy for the heart and for the overall youthness of your body. So if you want to drink red wine for the resveratrol, you can either just take freaking resveratrol, extracted from the wine in form of a pill, which I'm doing, or you can drink the alcohol, get the calories, get the alcohol as well, which is not good. But the point is that if you're only drinking like 1 glass a week of wine, still gonna be beneficial because of the resveratrol in it, and you're not going to harm your liver or your overall health. Yeah, you're gonna take 100 extra calories probably, which is not ideal, but the point is that overall you're not going to negatively affect your health. You're gonna benefit from that one glass of wine in some kind of a way. But if you're drinking a few bottles of wine a week, you're gonna trash your liver and you're gonna feel terrible. At the end of the day, you're gonna basically become an alcoholic. So here's an example of how something that could be healthy when it's not in moderation could totally ruin your health. Everything that is not in moderation could be extremely bad for you. That's a freaking fact. So video games should not be taken as anything different than watching a movie. A lot of people are also watching too many movies and they're not experiencing real life. That's also happened. But let's take someone like Grace Randolph or Jeremy Jones or Chris Tuckman, that they're doing reviews all the time, and they have to watch all these movies so they can bring you the reviews out. It's the same how I was before. Important stuff, guys. So you cannot put video games in the same pool of, wow, this is just a problem and is nothing beneficial. That is totally untrue. Everything could be a problem in this world and everything can be beneficial if it's in moderation. So that is the point that I want to make, and I wish that more people are more educated on this and more parents are, because then they're gonna think that video games are only bad and nothing good. It's extremely good as well to play video games for stress relief in the same way that you watch movies once again, because it's really amazing to just sit and relax with the game for 2 hours. I never play more than 2 or 3 hours now these days because I'm trying to get through Ghost of Tsushima. I'm playing sometimes a bit more on stream, but I never usually play more than 1 or 2 hours. There were so many months that I couldn't even play the games that I usually play, like Overwatch, for days. There were some weeks that I haven't played a game. That was fairly recently, before The Last of Us. When I didn't play and I needed a bit of stress relief, I really missed the games. I really missed the worlds that I was going to. For instance, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of the games that I just love to lose myself in and just be in ancient Greece and be a warrior and fight, and it's just so awesome. Now I'm doing the same with Ghost of Tsushima basically. But a certain setting, certain vibe to a period could give you like so many good feels, and it gives amazing good memories, like the same memories that I had when I was a kid and I was watching certain movies or cartoons, the same ways that some hosts of video game shows that I watched, they gave me so many good memories that I hold dear to my heart, and I do hope that I can give the same for you guys as well through my content and what I do, because I do come from a place of a true fan and somebody that can appreciate the games as art, as entertainment, and what they can really provide as quality and value. There is a lot of value in a good video game. And what I got from The Last of Us 2, for instance, was like transcendent experience. In the end of the day, first I was beaten by it emotionally and just mentally, but then I was elevated by what I was able to understand and just get my emotion aside and just being able to critically think about what actually transpired on the screen and without being biased towards the characters, without getting my feelings towards them, in fact, my objective perspective on how human beings could act or react instead of just thinking and just doing things differently, not based on emotion. So, what The Last of Us gave me was something that I never had as an experience in life and probably would have a very hard time perceiving, but through the game I was able to do that, and only through the game. So there you go, that's one thing that is worth mentioning. It's very, very important. Now let's see what Ninja had to say.
Saw the most recent clip going on about Joe Rogan, his comment about video games or like gamers, and I think where he was coming from, or what he was talking about specifically, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I watched the whole thing and try to get context of it. I watched, before and after the clip that was just, being posted on or on Twitter. It sounds like he's talking about like the top 1%, like the very odd or one-off chance that you're going to be a professional player, an esports player, and a successful one at that, right? I mean, you can be a professional esports player and, be on like a tier 2, tier 3 org, which is not maybe paying you the most.
Okay, so Ninja basically gets only this part about the professional player part, which I didn't even touch upon. So yeah, of course that you can be a professional player, but that's not the only way to make money or just have a career from video games. He tries to extract only that point. That's a fair point on itself, that you can also actually be that. You can also actually be a professional player and actually make thousands upon thousands, which is freaking amazing by its own. So that's one positive thing. As far as I understand about Fortnite, there's something like membership for kids, that kids really do lose their time. They want to like be members of certain like clubs or something in Fortnite, and they don't get anything out of this except the prestige of being a member of such groups, which I just don't get. If there's not any end to this, there's not any goal, but rather make up this artificial prestige, and you want to be a part of it, you want to form a team and then drop out of that team, join another team, and that never gets you anywhere. That's totally different. That's totally waste of time. The game does want the kids' parents to spend money on it. Now that is not okay to me. It's just this tactic of, yeah, you're literally wasting the minutes of your life that you have on this earth, and you're not getting anything out of it except, fun and being obsessive over it and be like in those teams and push through to get somewhere, and gives you this fake feeling of accomplishment where you actually are not doing anything, you're not getting yourself anywhere. So that is really bad. I recently found out about this because I only played Fortnite very casually, so I'm not into this whole thing, I'm not that further on. I don't have the time to be, and I don't like to waste my time. So here is how you can really waste your time with games. That doesn't mean that games are inherently bad or anything like this, but there is this thing with Fortnite, and I suppose with other games too, that it's really, really bad and it needs to be addressed.
And obviously, if you're not winning and being paid a lot, and you're not a big streamer, then you're not really making a lot of money. So I'm assuming he's just basically talking about, the top 1%. You're winning every tournament. You're on a top organization. You're making a shitload of money. You're successful. And I mean, he talks about how gaming can potentially not really get you anywhere, right? You're putting a lot of time into it, and you're just mindlessly playing video games. I just don't think what Joe doesn't really understand in the full context of what the gaming community is and how many different avenues you can be successful in gaming. I mean, there's streaming, just content creation, YouTube, being a professional player, being a freaking coach. I mean, like, you don't like like you can be incredibly understanding of a game, but not have the physical capacity to be able to, get pentakills every single round and every single game. But that doesn't mean that there's not a job for you, right? That doesn't mean there's not a place for you in the gaming community where you can be successful. Especially when coaches are being valued more and more in the gaming community now, which is a beautiful thing to see because coaches have been in sports forever. So, I mean, I'd love to go on and talk about it more, but I think that if you guys are in the gaming scene, we all know there are so many different ways you can be successful. There's so many different ways that you can make a living out of it. So keep gaming, continue to educate yourselves, and love you guys. And also would love to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. Talk more about it.
So yeah, he just focusing on the sport aspect of it. But yeah, he is right. There's also coaches that teach you how to play games. They also win a lot of money. So yeah, you can make a career with gaming, but if it's just like super casual and you're wasting your time, that's just another topic. If you use gaming for stress relief, 1-2 hours a day in the same way that you're gonna watch a movie, that's perfectly fine. You deserve to have the stress relief. It's a lot better to play a game for an hour or two a day than to smoke a cigarette or drink alcohol or use other substances. Of course, that's so much better, and it's really a stress relief because it produces dopamine. So everything in moderation. It's all how you use it. It's what you know. Everybody needs to be educated, Joe Rogan as well, on video games. And if it's a problem for him, if he is feeling that he is addicted to that, then just address your own personal issues with video games and correct that for yourself. Then from that, you're going to learn how you can correct that for other people as well. So those are my thoughts and my coverage on what Joe Rogan said and what Ninja said. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I'm coming from a place and someone that wants to share their passion with you guys. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you'd like to support me, you can check the links down below to Streamlabs for direct support, OnlyFans, when you can get the Netflix of sex education and fitness info, and my Patreon. Till next time with me, Gary G Reviews, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this type of videos. If you did, let me know in the comments.